Prologue. Naruto hurried into an alley, looking back at the huge mob that had chased him. He could see nearly all of the villagers had some sort of weapon. He slipped into another alley hoping to throw them off. He waited a bit as the crowd ran past. Naruto sighed in relief. He quietly walked out, not noticing several shadows behind me. Die demon. Naruto heard. Naruto felt several kunais stab into him. He turned to see several ninjas and an Anbu watch as he bled to death. Help me please, Naruto begged. Several ninjas began stomping on Naruto. One ninja made several hand seals and sent a burst of flames at Naruto, burning his body severely. Naruto fainted, only remembering that the ninjas had red eyes. Thank Kami, the demon's dead, one of the ninjas said happily. You want to go for a drink, Fugaku? No thanks. The Hokage will be angry that the demon died. I must be sober tomorrow to place the blame on those damned Hyugas, Fugaku answered. Itachi, dispose of the body. Yes sir, the Anbu said. The Anbu picked up the body and vanished. The Anbu was seething inside. How dare they disregard Yondaimi's last wish? Those damned foolish Uchihas. Only his mother, and a few other Uchihas understood that Naruto was a hero. Itachi hurried to the hospital and put a genjutsu on himself to prevent any other villagers from recognizing him. He ignored the front desk and went straight to the only doctor he knew that would help. Rin, Itachi called. They've done it again. Only worse. A woman came running toward Itachi. She had shoulder-length brown hair and 2 marks on her cheeks. She gasped at the damage Naruto suffered. How long ago? 10 minutes, Itachi answered. This child is lucky he has rapid regeneration. Half his wounds are closed but there's still massive internal damage and skin damage, Rin said. She sighed. Why didn't the villagers understand? She led Itachi to a bed. Itachi gently laid Naruto. Naruto's wounds were terrible. Nearly all his torso was burned black and his legs and arms were severely burned. His face was also burned. His back had several stab wounds and cuts. There were bruises all over his body. Rin began performing many jutsus and giving him ointments to speed up healing and prevent scar. Itachi shook his head. Such an innocent child forced to accept this treatment day after day, but he didn't hate the villagers but instead wanted their approval and their acceptance. That's why he made so many pranks and stole supplies from rich clan houses to give to the poor on the street. Itachi was disturbed from his reverie by the Hokage speaking. Itachi-san. Report. Hi Hokage-sama. Naruto was chased by a mob of villagers. They were egged on by many of the Uchiha clan. Naruto ran for an hour, the villagers numbering from 40 at the beginning of the chase to 100 at the end of the hour. Naruto managed to give them the slip. As soon as Naruto was out in the open, Naruto was attacked by several Uchihas, one of them was Fugaku. I was there also to try and save Naruto from dying. After the Uchihas stabbed, beat, and burned Naruto, I brought him here to be treated by Rin. Hokage nodded. Those damned Uchihas. They have been gaining too much power. There have already been several assassination attempts on him by ninjas hired by the Uchihas. He needed to wipe them out or severely limit their forces. Itachi, how many Uchihas are loyal to me? The Hokage asked. Around 50, including most of my family, some of my cousins and uncles, and others, Itachi answered. Good. Of the 50, how many do not hate Naruto? All of them. Many are neutral but there are some that openly like Naruto. Only Sasuke hates Naruto, thanks to my father brainwashing him. The Hokage stood up. Itachi stiffened when he saw the somber look on his face. Itachi, I'm going to offer you an SS class mission. It will be your choice if you want to accept it. Itachi was surprised. The last SS class mission was given to the Yondaime to wipe out several battalions of Iwa Nins. To be offered this was truly an honor and a testament to how highly the Hokage viewed him. I accept. Are you sure, Itachi? The Hokage asked. This mission will change your life forever. Itachi nodded. I'm sure. The Hokage nodded. Tomorrow night, I want you to kill every disloyal Uchiha. No disguises. You will be branded an S-class missing nin, but I and the daimyo shall keep the hunter nins away from you. Essentially, you will become like a Sanin but never be able to come back to the village again. Itachi was stunned. The merciful Hokage asking him to kill his own kinsman and be in exile forever. Why? The majority of Uchihas have grown arrogant with power. I cannot do anything against them, as the Hyugas, despite their dislike of the clans, will challenge any law strictly against the clan as it will apply to them. I already know the Fugaku has hired several assassins and some of his own clan members to kill me. I cannot allow that. They have become too dangerous. I fear that an alliance between Danzo and Fugaku will happen very soon, the Hokage explained. Itachi nodded. This is for the good of the clan and Konoha. Itachi was disgusted with many in the clan because of the arrogance yet laziness of many in the clan. They scoffed at hard work but adore cheating off their fellow comrades, jutsus. I accept, Itachi said. The Hokage smiled proudly at the loyal ninja. He was sad that such an honorable ninja will have to be exiled, but it was for the best of the village. Good. Now there is another part to this mission. I want you to escape with Naruto, but let him return when you think he is ready. Teach him to become powerful beyond belief. He is and will become the hero as he was meant to be seen, the Hokage said. Itachi sighed. What a mission. Kill those arrogant kinsmen and also raise the Jinchuriki of the Kyuubi. I accept. Tomorrow night, after you kill the Uchihas, I want you to sneak into the Hokage Tower and retrieve Naruto. Naruto will also have a letter you need to give to the daimyo or the other Sanins that you are a friend of Konoha despite what the bingo book might have against you, the Hokage said. In this letter is also my permission for you to have an annual pay of 0.5% of the Konoha ninja budget. More than enough to raise Naruto and you. Itachi nodded. He bowed to the Hokage and vanished. The Hokage sighed. This night will add so many years of burden on his shoulders. In Naruto's mind, deep within Naruto's mind, there is a large cage sealing the cube in Naruto. The demon shook its head and began to repent for all the pain it had caused to the innocent. Despite human legends say, demons are not evil but the deliverers of judgment. Kyuubi had meant to kill a snake called Orochimaru. It attacked Konoha sensing that vile snake's chakra. However, it was sealed into this boy and watched the boy be persecuted and despised by the villagers and ninjas because of the Kyuubi. The Kyuubi glowed as it morphed into a woman. The woman had reddish gold hair that reached down to just above her hip. She had a perfect figure and a face that was fit for a goddess. She clutched the bars of the cage holding her and whispered to herself. I'm back. I'm bored. I'm bored. I'm bored. A teenager chanted as he walked down a dirt road. Enough, damn it. We'll play I Spy. A voice in his head screamed. The teenager chuckled. He knew she would agree if he annoyed her long enough. The teenager's name is Naruto, born of Konoha and host of Kyuubi. He was around 5 feet 4 and had blonde, spiky hair with red highlights that could never be combed right. He wore steel-toed boots, loose black pants with plenty of pockets, and a black shirt with a small orange spiral on the front. He also wore a black vest and trench coat. A blood-red scarf hid the bottom half of his face. Hidden in various pockets were several storage scrolls, kunais, shurikens, exploding notes, a mask, and a small plushie of a fox. He also had a special sword placed behind his back. The sword was sheathed in a kodachi sheath, but thanks to several seals, it can fit even though the blade was 3 feet long. Currently Naruto was on the way to Konoha at the orders of Itachi. Naruto had grown very fond of his surrogate brother. Itachi taught Naruto all he could. Itachi taught him the basics of being a ninja and showed him many ninjutsus and genjutsus. He also let Naruto get trained by several missing nins he trusted. One of them taught Naruto the basics of kenjutsu and assassination. Another taught him element manipulation and taijutsu. Kyuubi also helped Naruto in several ways. She gave his body rapid healing, greatly increased stamina, and superhuman senses. She trained Naruto in controlling yokai chakra, very potent but powerful chakra. Her greatest gift was a choice of bloodline. Naruto had a very unique bloodline. It did not give him any more advantages against most ninjas. However, his chakra can damage the bloodline abilities of ninjas and made them worse. This meant that the Sharingan would only see after images of movements and the Byakugan would be blurred eye. It also meant that the Kagaya bones would be brittle and the Aburame family wouldn't be able to command their Kikai. Overall, those with bloodlines would be at Naruto's mercy. So Kit, what are you going to do once we get to Konoha? Kyuubi asked. With Naruto's permission, Kyuubi altered the seal so that she could see through Naruto's eyes and ears. She also altered the cage so it would be a large Japanese house instead of a sewer. I guess after I give the old man several letters and packages, I'll go walk around. Probably play several pranks Q-chan, Naruto replied. Ooh, do tell, Kyuubi cooed. Hokage Tower and Monument. This ought to be good, Kyuubi said eagerly. Naruto reached the gate. He passed his papers to the guards. The guards scanned his papers checking for forgery. Business? The guard asked. Visiting a friend, Naruto answered. All right, just don't cause any trouble, the guard grunted. Naruto nodded and began walking to the Hokage Tower. After walking for several minutes he decided to walk around for a bit like a tourist. He was amazed at the number of people and ninjas he saw. He did see some odd characters that Itachi warned him about. He saw a silver-haired man walking around, totally concentrated on an orange book he was reading. He turned and saw a purple-haired kunoichi eating a huge number of dangos in a short amount of time. He chuckled a bit and accidentally bumped into someone. I'm sorry, sir. I didn't look. Yosh. Your flames of youth are burning brightly. If I cannot match your flames of youthe, I will hop 50 laps around Konoha on one hand, the person Naruto bumped into shouted. Naruto took one good look at the man and bolted away as fast as he could. He headed into an alley and hid. He didn't speak for several minutes. Was that the result of eating too much ramen? Naruto asked nervously. Kyuubi couldn't answer. She was stunned that a human would go out in public looking that bad. Kit, you never saw that man. It was a bad dream, Kyuubi said. Agreed, Naruto said. He went out from the alley and headed to the Hokage Tower. Naruto entered the building and went to the receptionist. Excuse me, I have a letter for the Hokage that is very important, Naruto said politely. He handed a letter to the receptionist. The daimyo and the Hokage stamped the letter. Naruto waited as the receptionist delivered the letter. Soon, the receptionist motioned for Naruto to follow her. Naruto followed her until they reached the Hokage's office. Naruto steeled himself and entered. Naruto, a voice said in delight. Naruto looked up to see Rin hug him tightly. Very tightly. The Hokage watched in amusement as Naruto turned blue. Help me, Naruto gasped at the Hokage. The Hokage chuckled. Let him down, Rin. I want to hear what happened while he was away with Itachi, the Hokage said. Rin pouted but let Naruto go. Naruto jumped out Rin's arm length and began recounting what happened during his 6 years with Itachi. Not to be mean or anything, but I won't tell what happened just yet. There are several people that I do not want to reveal. So when I arrived here, I walked around a bit and saw several ninjas. One of them scared me more than Kyuubi during that time of month, Naruto said. Hey, though now I think about it, you're right, Kyuubi said. Oh yeah, I met Ero Sennin during my travels and he told me to give you this book. Naruto handed the Hokage a small gold book. The Hokage gasped. Naruto, is that? The Hokage gasped. Naruto shrugged. If you mean the latest book of the Ika Ika series, Ika Harem Nights in a limited gold edition and signed by the author with extra bonus pictures. Then yes it is. Rin glared at the Hokage as he opened it reverently. Naruto could have sworn that the book emitted some gold light when it was opened. The Hokage started to giggle and blush. Naruto's sweat dropped. We're all men perverts. And what is with that book? Even Itachi began giggling and blushing when he read that book. Oi, Oyaji. What now? Naruto asked rudely. The Hokage closed his book regretfully and thanked Kami for Jiraiya. You will be going to the academy where you will take the Genin exam and take place on a team. There you will work with your new team until you become Chunin rank, the Hokage stated. Nani? Naruto yelled. No buts Naruto, the Hokage said firmly. Now Naruto, you'll be staying in an apartment that I bought for you. You will also get a weekly stipend until you reach Chunin. The Hokage tossed Naruto the keys to the apartment. Rin, please show Naruto the way to the academy. Also tell Iruka that he is to be allowed to take the Genin exams, the Hokage said. Rin nodded. When they left, the Hokage took out his book. Now for some quality reading. Iruka was having a bad day. It was the day before the Genin exams. He looked at his class. If you can call it that. In one section of the room where the Uchiha fangirls are staring at the heir of the Uchiha clan, Sasuke. After Itachi's massacre of over 400 Uchihas, young Sasuke has been obsessing over revenge. Even his own mother, Makoto, could not persuade Sasuke against being an avenger. Sadly, she died a year after the massacre, making him fall into an even deeper madness. He was the top of his class, but Iruka worried for his sanity. It reminded him of one of the Sannin he read about. Iruka shook his head. He turned his attention to two girls, Yamanaka Ino and Haruno Sakura. Both girls were die-hard Uchiha fangirls and honestly, a disgrace amongst kunoichis. Always focusing on their looks instead of training. Dieting too. At 12, did they want to kill themselves? Nearby were Nara Shikamaru and Akamaiki Choji. These two were heirs to the Akamichi and the Nara clans. Both have some of the lowest grades in class. However, Iruka knew they were hiding their true abilities judging by their father's lack of concern about their grades. Iruka had to admit, their fathers seemed like older versions of their sons. Both Naras both said troublesome and started to sleep. The Akamichis shrugged and ate their potato chips. In another section were Inazaka Kiba, and his pet, Akamaru, and Hinata Hyuga. Both of these ninjas were extremely competent and ready to be genin. However, they had personality problems. Kiba was wild. He needed to settle down and not act on his instincts. He needed to use his brain more often and focus on some long-range genjutsus to complement their unique taijutsu. Hinata was perfectly capable in Iruka's eyes. She was proficient in the Byakugan and Gentle Fist. However, in Lord Hiyashi's eyes, she was weak. This led to severe inferior complex in Hinata. However, she had an extraordinary talent in healing as she developed a healing cream that healed a cut at an extremely fast rate. In a corner by himself, Aburame Shino was silently observing the class. Iruka never knew if the boy was sleeping or not. Iruka noted that he was an extremely gifted person in strategy and logic. He was also skilled in tracking and stealth. A true ninja. He hid his skills from most of the class. In Iruka's opinion, if Shino and Sasuke got into a fight, Sasuke would lose. Iruka sighed. Well, better start the lesson. Troublesome, Iruka muttered. He stood up and said, "All right class, settle down." No reaction. A tick mark appeared on Iruka's face. Shut up and pay attention. The class settled down enough for Iruka to start his lesson. Good. Now today, we'll be going over different ninja villages. Now can anyone tell me the 5 major ninja villages? The door opened and Iruka turned to see who it was. A boy around most of his students' age walked in. He sighed as many of the girls commented on his hotness compared to Sasuke. Uck. The boy smiled and gave him a slip of paper. Here you go, Scarface. It's a letter from the Hokage, the boy said cheekily. Iruka was a bit annoyed but read the letter. He was a bit surprised when the Hokage said that Naruto has permission to take the Genin exams this late in the school year. All right Naruto. Please sit in the seat next to Sasuke over there, Iruka said. Naruto looked over to where Iruka was pointing. You mean over there next to that emo homoel with the chicken hair? Naruto asked revolted. The class was in an uproar. All of Sasuke's fangirls demanded punishment and retribution while Kiba fell on the ground laughing. Choji chuckled a bit and carried on eating. Shino looked on in interest. Shut up, Iruka yelled. He turned to Naruto. Fine. Please sit next to Shino over there. Naruto walked to the seat beside Shino without any complaint. He stuck a hand out to Shino. Uzumaki Naruto at your service. Shino eyed his hand then shook it. Aburame Shino. So you're one of the famous Aburames. My sensei told me about them. In my opinion, they are some of the finest ninjas around. Stealthy and they quickly finish their mission without having to waste much energy. Epitome of a ninja's role. Shino was stunned. Not many people praise their clan as highly as the Hyuga or Uchiha. This was truly a pleasant surprise. You use Kikai bugs to aid in your fights, right? Naruto asked. You seem to know a lot about my clan, Naruto-san, Shino said. So, knowing your enemy and battling your enemy is two completely different things. If the body is not strong enough to counter what the mind views as a threat, then you're dead, Naruto countered. A wise statement, Shino said. He was impressed. A new student so wise in the ways of the shinobi. It would be beneficial to be his friend. All right, class. Out in the training field for sparring, Iruka called out. The class calmly went out to the practice field. Iruka had them go to one of the practice arena. Now class, time for some practice sparring. You can use any taijutsu techniques or kenjutsu, Iruka explained. Now anything goes except serious injury or death. Now let's have Shino and Ino spar, Iruka called out. The two went into the arena. The match was a short one as Shino quickly delivered a knockout punch to Ino's temple. Iruka's sweat dropped to how short the match was. Alright, how about Sasuke-and, Iruka called out. I want Naruto, Sasuke said. Everyone looked at Naruto. I'm flattered but I don't swing that way. Naruto smirked as the Uchiha flushed in embarrassment. He saw Kiba laughing on the ground and many fan girls screaming obscenities. Just get over here and fight me, Sasuke said. Naruto shrugged. He calmly faced the Uchiha. Iruka-sensei. Do you cave a Bakken? Naruto asked. Sure, Iruka answered. He tossed Naruto a standard wooden Bakken. Naruto caught it deftly and twirled it a bit, testing the balance. Satisfied, Naruto went into a sword stance with the Bakken positioned like a sheathed sword. Whenever you're ready, Sasuke, Naruto said. Sasuke rushed Naruto. He threw a punch at Naruto's head. However, Naruto easily dodged it and smacked Sasuke hard with the Bakken on his thighs. Sasuke's kegs buckled as a numb sensation went through his legs. Sasuke threw a roundhouse at Naruto. Naruto quickly ducked and slammed the Bakken at Sasuke's other leg. Sasuke fell down hard when he knee buckled from the force of Naruto's blow. Sasuke scrambled up, angry at Naruto toying with him. Sasuke became even angrier as Naruto began walking out of the ring. Where are you going, Dobi? Scared? Nope, bored. You're too riled up to be a challenge, Naruto answered cheerfully. He gave Sasuke the victory sign. To say Sasuke was angry was like saying spandex was a bit ugly. Sasuke was furious. Kaden. Great fireball. A large fireball flew toward Naruto. Iruka formed seals for a water jutsu as it headed toward Naruto. Naruto ignored it until it was a meter. He thrust the Bakken at the fireball. Kenjutsu. Bullet. A blast of air blew through the fireball and struck Sasuke in the head. Sasuke flew out of the ring, landing 3 feet away from where he was standing. Naruto glared at the Uchiha. His brother would be ashamed of him. Naruto looked back to see Kiba and Choji applauding him while Shikamaru gave him a small approving smile. Shino nodded approvingly at Naruto's skill. Iruka was impressed. To disperse a fireball with only the wind from a sword thrust needed a lot of skill. It even had enough power to blow his opponent away with only a Bakken. Iruka wouldn't want to be on the receiving end if Naruto had a katana. Iruka-sensei. Sakura shrieked. Naruto cheated. Sasuke wouldn't be defeated like that. Naruto must have used a ninjutsu to beat Sasuke. Rematch. Naruto's eye twitched. Kami. How can someone like her be that stupid? Naruto thought. One of life's greatest mysteries, Kit, Kyuubi said. She was appalled at how stupid the girl was. Sakura. Naruto fought fair and square. He defeated Sasuke without resorting to using ninjutsu techniques. Sasuke on the other hand directly disobeyed me and fired a Kaden jutsu at Naruto's back, Iruka explained patiently. Sasuke never fired a fireball. That was Sasuke's awesomeness radiating from him. Sakura screamed. That sets a new low for being retarded, Naruto thought. Kami. She's even more imaginative than the people who invented singing, Kyuubi thought. Miniclip. 4 cavemen were sitting around the fire. Grunt. Grunt grunt. Grunt grunt. 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 Oh. 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 For the longest time. Oh. 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 For the longest time, they all sang in unison. If you said goodbye to me tonight. Ooh ooh ooh, one sang. End miniclip. Naruto shrugged. He wasn't going to argue over this. He went over by Shino to watch the other matches. Kiba, Choji, and Shikamaru joined him. Great match Naruto, Kiba congratulated. I'm Kiba of the Inazaka clan. And this is my pet, Akamaru. Akamaru yipped at Naruto. Where did you learn to fight like that? Kiba asked. A friend of my sensei, Naruto answered. You think I can get a few tips? Kiba asked. Learn a few genjutsus. Genjutsus? Why? You use mainly taijutsu in battle. If your opponent is in a genjutsu, you can easily maul your opponent before they realize it, Naruto explained. Kiba nodded. Soon after all the sparring was done, Naruto spent time with his new friends. He learned a lot about the village, people, and places of the village. After school they went to a barbecue restaurant. They spent hours there laughing and joking. Despite Shino being the silent one, Shino could make really funny one-liners and observations. Soon it was late. They split the check 4 ways and left. Naruto went to the address the Hokage gave him. It led to an apartment complex that was shared by many ninjas of Konoha. Let's see. Number 726. 724. 725. 726. Here it is. Naruto unlocked it and went in. The apartment was a decent place. It had 2 rooms, a bedroom, a kitchen, fridge, 2 closets, and a bathroom. It was empty. Naruto had a remedy to this. He took a scroll out of his jacket and placed chakra in it. Soon a couch, bookshelf loaded with books and scrolls, a futon, kitchen equipment, clothes, training equipment, a chest, ninja equipment, food, soap, and other stuff popped out. Naruto then created several shadow clones to organize all the items. As soon as they finished, Naruto dispelled them. He went to the chest and opened it. Inside was cleaning equipment for his sword. He removed the sword from his belt and cleaned it carefully. The sword was nothing fancy. It was like most katanas except that it was made by one of the finest blacksmiths. It was extremely sharp, durable, and can channel his chakra. This allowed him to make his kenjutsu attacks long range when he channeled his wind chakra through it. Also any cuts with his sword would damage bloodline abilities. It also had an element of surprise that his sword was sheathed in a kodachi sheath. Naruto sheathed his sword and laid on his futon. He was excited to see what tomorrow would bring in this village. Things already looked very interesting. Naruto closed his eyes but opened them when he heard his next door neighbor. Yosh, I will go to sleep so that my flames of youth will burn brightly as the sun. If I cannot do this, I will do 5,000 kicks and 5,000 punches. If I cannot do that I will run 100 laps around Konoha in less than 30 minutes. Hey Kit, wake up. It's 4, Kyuubi said. Naruto groaned but got up. He had this weird dream about some black-haired girl. Whatever. Dreams are dreams, Naruto groaned. He scratched his stomach but paused. No, not that. Ooh, what have we here? Kyuubi cooed. Looks like someone had a wet dream. Shut up, Naruto yelled. He went to the bathroom for a long cold shower. After he finished drying his hair, Naruto put on some shorts and a loose t-shirt. He took his sword and storage scroll but nothing else. He quickly tied his shoes and weights on. These weights are tied to his limbs. Each of the weights weigh around 300 pounds. Kyuubi, could you please activate the gravity seals to 5x? Naruto asked. Fine, Kyuubi said. Naruto felt his body sag as the gravity seals increase from 4x to 5x. He jogged around getting used to the new weight. Thanks to Kyuubi's training, his body has literally become so dense that his body is as hard as stone and his bones harder than steel. He put his hands into a seal and gathered chakra. Kage Bunshin no Jutsu. 200 clones popped into existence. I want 100 of you to work on chakra control. 50 of you find a training ground and spar using Kenjutsu and Taijutsu, blindfolded. The other 50 will work on sealing. I want those improved explosive notes by the end of the week, Naruto instructed. After 2 hours, dispel yourselves. The clones nodded and dispersed to do their work. Naruto did a few stretches and began his morning run. According to Kiba's information, Naruto needed to do 50 laps around Konoha before his normal training. Naruto started jogging. It was peaceful to hear the birds sing in the early morning and feel the fresh wind of a new day. Quiet, tranquil, perfect. Lee, it is time for our youthful morning run. If we cannot make 100 laps before the sun rises, then we will walk all day on our hands. Oh goddammit, why does he seem to show up everywhere? Hi sensei. And if we cannot do that, we will spread the wisdom of youthfulness while we are in the springtime of youthfulness. Naruto knew he shouldn't have turned, but against his common sense, he looked behind him. Not only was the weirdo with the spandex, huge eyebrows, and bowl cut there, but he also had a mini-me. The mini-me was dressed like the weirdo also. But the freakiest part was that they were hugging very tightly. What? It's not enough that he's a weirdo, but he also had to corrupt a child into dressing like him and allowing the weirdo to molest the child. Guy sensei. Lee. A huge background with the sun setting and the waves crashing appeared behind them. Naruto had several ticks but calmly made the seal for dispelling genjutsu. Kai. Naruto said. Nothing. Kai. Nothing. Kai. Still nothing. Kai. 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 Naruto screamed. He couldn't dispel the jutsu. Run for it, Kit. Run for our lives. Kyuubi screamed. Naruto began running faster than he ever thought possible. He ran to the Hokage tower screaming. He sped past the receptionist and straight into the Hokage's office. The Hokage was enjoying his Ika harem book when the door to his office blew up. He watched in shock as Naruto blocked the door with an earth jutsu, made multiple reinforcing seals, and traps. Naruto then grabbed the Ika harem book from the Hokage, sat in a corner, and began reading as fast as he could. Naruto suffered massive blood loss in a matter of seconds and blacked out. Naruto, are you alright? The Hokage asked, worried. Spandex. Eyebrows. Mini-me. Youth. Sunset. Naruto whispered. The Hokage sweat dropped. No one was the same when they met Geir Lee. Naruto woke up after 2 hours. He was lying on the sofa in the Hokage's office. He looked up to see the Hokage hard at work with paperwork. He also heard the Hokage cursing the paperwork. Goddamned paperwork killing me more painfully than a stab wound, the Hokage moaned. The Hokage looked up and saw that Naruto was conscious. Ah, Naruto, you're awake, the Hokage said. Naruto nodded but was a bit confused. Why was he in the Hokage's office? And why did the Hokage have a rock slab with traps and seals for a door? He asked the Hokage both questions. The Hokage sweat dropped. Naruto, don't you remember? Naruto tried to remember but found Kyuubi locking a huge chest labeled ideas for genjutsu horrors. Kyuubi, what happened 2 hours ago? Naruto asked. You're better off not knowing, Kyuubi said curtly. Nope. Don't remember, Naruto said to the Hokage. The Hokage sweat dropped and suddenly remembered an article about how the human psyche will bury traumatic memories. Naruto, you should be getting back home. The academy starts in an hour. By then you'll have the genin exams, the Hokage said. The Hokage sighed and went back to his paperwork. You're right, Naruto exclaimed. He made a seal for Sunshin but stopped. Don't you have a quicker way of doing paperwork? Naruto asked. The Hokage looked up so fast that Naruto thought he heard the Hokage's crack. Do you know of a way? The Hokage asked. Naruto nodded. Have you tried Kage Bunshin? Naruto asked. Naruto left by Sunshin. The Hokage was in shock. He slowly got out a slip of paper that his students gave to him years ago. On it was a circle. In the circle, it said, "Bang head here." Stupid, 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 the Hokage said, while hitting his head on the slip of paper on his desk. Naruto arrived at his apartment just as all his clones dispelled. He was a bit disoriented by the flood of information. After a minute he reviewed all of the information gathered. He nodded in approval at the progress he made. He quickly bathed and changed back to his regular clothes. He wrapped his scarf around the bottom of his face to hide the marks on his cheeks. It would not be good if people knew the Kyuubi Jinchuriki was back. He packed his necessities inside scrolls and strapped his sword on his belt. After checking his equipment, he headed toward the academy. Naruto passed through the market square. The air was filled with the smells of delicious foods. He heard his stomach growl loudly and decided to head to a nearby dango stall. The stall was a bit crowded but homely. Naruto sat at an empty table and ordered some dango and tea. After the waiter gave Naruto his order, Naruto eagerly dug in. He finished one and was about to pick up another when he felt someone's presence behind him. Anko Mitarashi was hungry after training, so she decided to head to the dango shop for dango and sake. As she entered, she saw a teen with a full plate of her favorite dango. She decided to take one. Surely, a teen wouldn't deny a tokubetsu jonin. She skillfully reached for one. She would have stolen one if a glowing katana weren't tickling her throat. TCH, TCH, TCH. Didn't your mother teach you any manners? Naruto asked. He turned to see Anko glaring at him. Now, if you ask politely, I'll order another one. Anko was about to tell the teen an explicative, but her stomach growled loudly. Who cares about pride when your stomach is concerned? I'm Anko Mitarashi, Konoha's wise snake mistress, she said. Now, could you please but me an order of dango? Naruto ordered more dango. As she waited for the dango, Naruto began a friendly conversation. Anko and Naruto talked about various things. She was curious how Naruto detected her presence and how Naruto was able to move so fast. Naruto deftly steered the conversation away from him to her. He was able to by telling her that he was an academy student. No way. I was nearly killed by an academy student, Anko exclaimed. If it's any consolation, I've been taught by many good teachers, Naruto said consolingly. Anko grumbled a bit and viciously bit into a dango. Yeah, well, how's Iruka doing? Anko asked. Why, isn't he just an instructor? Naruto asked. Anko shook her head. Not just an instructor but was a distinguished Anbu under the name of Isamu. Held a record number of completed solo missions, however, he always wanted to be an instructor. He even turned down a chance to be one of the 12 guard ninjas of fire. The daimyo's elite Hokage allowed Iruka to be an instructor. Ever since Iruka became an instructor, genins of his class tend to pass the Jonin's personal test. They often become chunins in 3 years, Anko explained. She had a light blush on her face. You know a lot about him, Naruto said. He smirked a bit when Anko squirmed in her seat. He sniffed the air and found the air soaked with hormones coming from Anko. Naruto had a shit-eating grin on his face. Anko got suspicious. What are you smiling about? You like Iruka, don't you? Naruto teased. He grinned even wider when Anko blushed a deep red. Anko. Naruto turned to see a jonin with red eyes and long dark hair standing outside the entrance of the shop. She had a look of complete surprise on her face. She went to their table and sat by Naruto. Anko, I heard the last sentence. Do you really like him? The jonin asked gently. Anko nodded and began crying. Anko sniffed. She hated to be seen as weak. This damn brat was able to break down her defenses in less than an hour. She was a torture ninja for Kami's sake. She should have seen this a mile away. Yakuranai I do. I've been in love with him since a year after Orochimaru left. He was my best friend after Orochimaru left. In the years he's always been there to cheer me up, help me stand tall, and never treated me like an outcast. I've been too afraid of rejection or the chance of persecution against Iruka to admit my feelings. Anko whispered. Kurenai squealed and began saying how romantic that was to fall in love with your best friend. Naruto felt a bit sick. He should have never pried into these private feelings. It made him sick. It was worse because Kyuubi in his head was saying exactly the same thing. Kawaii. Kurenai, Kyuubi squealed. Naruto gagged. After a long talk, Kurenai cheered Anko back to her normal self. Naruto was forced to sit through it because Kyuubi threatened him. He looked outside and remembered he should go to the academy now. Well, it was nice to meet you, but I have to go to the academy. Naruto was about to run off when a hand shoved a package in Naruto's pocket. Make sure Iruka gets that, Anko said mischievously. Naruto nodded and ran to the academy. He arrived in the classroom just as the bell rang. Morning Iruka-sensei, Naruto said. Morning Naruto. Please sit down while I call roll, Iruka said. Naruto began walking toward his seat by Shino. He stopped though when he remembered about the package. Iruka-sensei. A Jonin gave me a package and told me to give it to you. She said it was important, Naruto said. He tossed the package to Iruka. Iruka caught it and went to his desk. He sat down and opened it. Naruto and Kiba began sniggering loudly when the package opened to reveal a stained pair of panties in a picture. Many girls began to shout at Iruka for being a pervert while secretly planning to do the same thing for Sasuke. Iruka was bright red. Many of the students were shocked to see their teacher receive something like that. It didn't help when the Hokage dropped in. Iruka, I wanted to talk to you about the Genin examinations and the Hokage said as his eyes spotted the panties in the picture. The Hokage smiled lecherously. So what bold lady sent you this lovely package? Iruka hastily hid the package in his desk and tried to appear as if nothing happened. Hokage-sama, what about the exams? The Hokage cleared his throat and tried to recollect his thoughts. Iruka, I have been reviewing the Genin exam and after consideration, they will be sorted into teams now and be tested tomorrow by the Jonin senseis. The Hokage gave Iruka a list and exited. Iruka looked at the list and was surprised. In the past, the students have been sorted into specialty teams such as tracking, capturing, and assault. Now the teams are much more balanced with much more variety. Alright, now the Genin exams are cancelled today, Iruka announced. He waited as the students began booing. After a minute the booing stopped and Iruka continued. Under the new system, students will be sorted into teams to take a much harder test. The test is a practical mostly and will occur at the time the Jonin chooses, Iruka explained. Now the teams in Jonin senseis are as follows. Team 1 includes. Naruto tuned him out until his name was called. Team 7 will be Naruto, Iruka called. Naruto sat up, eager to find out his other teammates. Shino. Naruto grinned as Shino shifted a bit. And Shikamaru. Naruto punched the air with his fist. Shikamaru mumbled troublesome and went back to sleep. Team 7's Jonin will be Anko Mitarashi. Naruto began praying to Kami for mercy. Aw shit. I'm dead, ain't I cute? Naruto asked. After Iruka dismissed the class, he asked Naruto to stay a bit after class. Naruto waited as the rest of the students whispered explanations for why Naruto was being held after school. Naruto wondered if it was something about Anko. After everyone left, Iruka spoke. Naruto, will you come here? Naruto walked to Iruka's desk. Iruka was holding Anko's package. Naruto sighed. Is this about the package, sensei? Naruto asked. Iruka turned red. Yes, but there's another reason why I asked you to stay, Iruka admitted. Naruto sighed. This was going to be a long afternoon. Naruto, why did Anko give you this package? Naruto shrugged. I don't know really. I just met her in a dango stall this morning. She tried to steal my dango. Iruka nodded. Tried? I tickled her neck with my sword, Naruto explained. Anyway, After offering to buy her an order of dango, we started talking. You have quite an impressive record for an academy teacher, Isamu. Iruka blushed embarrassed. Yeah, but I always wanted to teach. She spoke very highly of you, Iruka, Naruto said. Is it true that you two were roommates? We were for a bit, Iruka admitted. After Orochimaru deserted Konoha, she was treated like a traitor. I never believed it and felt sorry for her. She kind of clung to me a bit while she got used to the glares and insults. I often had to sleep in the park so that she won't be alone. Anko's landlord soon kicked Anko out of her apartment. She didn't have friends like Kurenai yet, and her other friend Hana lived in a clan house. She went to me and I allowed her to stay at my apartment. She stayed for several months until she got her own apartment. Sensei. I was lying when I asked about the roommates part, Naruto admitted. Iruka turned a darker shade of red when he realized Naruto tricked him. Iruka, what do you think of Anko? Naruto asked. Well, she is kind and gentle despite her normal attitude. After you get past her shell, she is a beautiful, caring person that any man would love. I count myself lucky to be her friend, Iruka said. There's not a trace of a lie, Kyuubi noted. Hey Kit. This man really loves Anko. Look at his eyes. They practically glow. Naruto nodded. He noticed this also. He decided to test Iruka. Iruka. As I talked with Anko, she told me she had a boyfriend. Iruka looked at Naruto. A new boyfriend? Yeah. Some Junin named Kakashi, Naruto said. Naruto sensed some killing intent waft from Iruka. Anyway, from what I heard, Kakashi's been a real jerk. He's been ignoring her, and despite her pleas, he's been flirting with some of the women in the village, Naruto said. Naruto smirked as Iruka was glowing with killing intent. He decided to push him a little bit more. The worst part is, he forbid her from telling any of her friends that she is forcibly engaged. She cries to sleep most nights, Naruto said sadly. He was blasted back as Iruka's chakra let out a pulse, breaking chairs in his desk. Kakashi. Iruka growled. He pulled out a beautifully made katana. You're dead. Iruka jumped out the window carrying his katana with him. Naruto chased after him, his face split into a mischievous grin. Kakashi was exiting a bookstore, eagerly reading his purchase, Ika Harem Nights. He turned around a corner and ignored a shout. Kakashi, my eternal rival. Why do you read that unyouthful book? I challenge you to a race around Konoha with a boulder on our backs. Did you say something? So hip, my eternal rival. Kakashi. Kakashi turned around to see Iruka charge at him with a drawn katana. Kakashi dodged it, but Iruka's sword sliced the book into pieces. Kakashi stared at the book in horror. My Icha. I shall avenge thee, Kakashi yelled. He used a kunai to parry Iruka's katana. Iruka channeled chakra into the sword and the katana sliced through the kunai like butter. Iruka stabbed Kakashi, but Kakashi turned into a log. Iruka stabbed the ground with the katana and quickly made some seals. Chakra pulse. A wave of chakra rippled the earth around Iruka. Kakashi was forced out from underground. Iruka swung his katana at Kakashi, who managed to dodge it. Why did you hurt Anko? Iruka roared as he attempted to cut Kakashi in half. What? Kakashi said as he ducked Iruka's katana. You heard me. You womanizer. Iruka yelled. Iruka made some seals. Sweden. Water darts. Kakashi swerved to avoid several darts of ice that Iruka shot at him. Kakashi made several seals as he dodged another of Iruka's stabs. Kaden. Fire sparrows. Several birds made of fire flew toward Iruka. Iruka channeled chakra through his sword and sliced through the birds. You hurt Anko. You were engaged with her and still kept flirting. Iruka roared. That is most unyouthful, my eternal rival. I must please your unyouthfulness and show you the joys of springtime of youth. Guy shouted. Naruto saw the mini-me pop out of nowhere. Guy sensei. Lee. The evil genjutsu popped out again, quickly stopping the fight for a second because everyone was transfixed on it. Meanwhile, Anko was heading out of the dango shop. She headed toward the market for some sake. She had a feeling she would need some tonight. As she headed to the market, she felt a large chakra source surge near her. She headed toward the source to check it out. She saw Iruka fighting Kakashi equally. Iruka was using his sword to keep Kakashi on the defensive and preventing any ninjutsu. She also heard Iruka shouting something at Kakashi. Why did you hurt Anko? She deserves someone better than you. Iruka bellowed. She is the most wonderful person I know and I will never make her cry. Kakashi was confused as hell. What the heck was Iruka yelling about? He dodged another swipe from Iruka's sword when snakes wrapped around him, tying Kakashi up. Iruka. Iruka turned to see Anko. She had a blank face. Iruka got extremely nervous. Did she hear all that? Iruka. Did you mean all that? Anko asked. Iruka stammered. He looked down. Yeah, I did. Iruka's head was lifted up by Anko's gentle finger. She looked into his eyes searching for any traces of lying. All of it. Every single word Anko, Iruka said. Anko smiled and kissed Iruka as hard as she could. Iruka happily returned the kiss. Naruto stood on the sidelines, watching the couple. He was honestly happy for the couple. Itachi had said they've been dancing around each other for a while. It was time they both received happiness. Guy and Lee were sobbing and shouting about Iruka's and Anko's blazing fires of youth. Kakashi was still confused as hell and wanted his Ika harem nights repaired. Many of the women who watched the scene thought it was romantic, including Kyubi. Many of the men thought Iruka was lucky to have such a hot girlfriend. In the Hokage Tower, the Hokage was furiously writing down the scene from his crystal ball. He was giggling lecherously and excited to see what Jiraiya would make from this information. When the two stopped for a breath, Anko giggled. She whispered in Iruka's ear. Naruto wasn't able to pick it up but was able to make an accurate guess as to what it was considering Iruka's red face. The two stood up and left, leaving a shouting Guy and Lee, a confused Kakashi, and a happy Naruto. Naruto headed home pleased to give two deserving people happiness. It would also make his genin exam easier tomorrow. He headed toward the clan houses to visit his teammates. Naruto asked several civilians where the Abarames and Nara clan houses were. He was able to find directions from a Chunin and headed to the Abarame first. He headed toward the Abarame clan house. The house was big but not humongous like the Hyuga mansion. It was quiet but Naruto was able to hear humming sounds like insects. He knocked on the front door and waited. A ninja dressed like Shino opened the door. How may I help you? I'd like to speak to Shino Abarame about the genin exams tomorrow, Naruto said politely. The ninja nodded. Please follow me into the living room. Naruto followed the Abarame into a large airy room where several people were studying or meditating. Naruto saw a person watching his bug collection. The ninja turned to Naruto. Please wait here while I see if Shino is available. Naruto shrugged and sat down on one of the cushions around the living room. He took out a scroll about sealing and began to read. After 5 minutes, Shino greeted him. Hello Uzumaki-san. Why did you come over to my house? Shino asked. Naruto placed the scroll in his jacket for later reading. I wanted to talk to you about the genin exam, Naruto explained. Since they cancelled the normal genin exam in favor for a more rigorous practical, I wanted to have a mock battle to see your skills, abilities, and weaknesses. Why? Since we will be taking the test together along with Shikamaru, it would be best that we have some idea of each other's abilities so that we may work together as a cohesive team tomorrow. Shino nodded. Then follow me to the practice field. Naruto followed Shino outside to a large open field. There were several posts and weights for taijutsus and targets for projectiles. In the center of the field was a large area for sparring. Shino and Naruto went inside the circle. Whenever you're ready, Shino, Naruto said. Naruto settled into a kenjutsu stance while Shino waited. Shino made the first move. He threw several kunais and shurikens at Naruto. Naruto easily dodged them without moving his feet. Shino sent a huge mass of Kikai bugs at Naruto. Naruto channeled chakra into his sword. Itoryu. Wind tunnel. Naruto swung his sword in a circular manner. The chakra from the sword caused a wind tunnel that sucked all of Shino's bugs away from Naruto. It channeled them away from Naruto back to Shino. Interesting technique, Shino commented. He charged Naruto with a kunai on hand. Naruto parried the attack and kicked Shino in the stomach. Shino exploded into a shower of bugs. The bugs then climbed all over Naruto and began sucking his chakra. Naruto quickly channeled chakra. He concentrated on mxing his wind affinity and water affinity chakra together. After several seconds, Naruto had a shiver run throughout his body due to his ice affinity chakra. Shino was in the trees as he watched his Kikai bugs drain Naruto's chakra. He prepared to knock Naruto out when he noticed something strange. The bugs all over Naruto's body began falling off as if they were paralyzed. Naruto shook the rest of the Kikai bugs off. Good trick, Shino, Naruto complimented. You would have won if it wasn't for the fact I can make ice affinity chakra. Shino nodded. Naruto decided it was time for him to go on the offensive. Naruto made several seals. Sweeten. Ice fog. Naruto faded away from Shino's sight as a thick and very cold mist appeared. Shino released his bugs into a protective wall around him. Shino noticed that his bugs were very sluggish from the cold. Naruto made several seals and concentrated. Ninpu. All-seeing eye, Naruto sent chakra to his feet and was able to sense where Shino was. He made several clones and sent them after Shino. Shino dodged a hail of kunais and sent several shurikens back. He heard a small poof but thought nothing of it. A Naruto clone made several seals and aimed at Shino. Sweden. Rain grenade. Shino saw several orbs of water heading toward him. He made a bug wall to protect himself. The orbs of water exploded against the bugs, soaking the bugs with ice-cold water. Many of Shino's bugs fell asleep from the cold. Shino turned to find the Naruto clone but felt a sword at his throat. You lose, Shino. The fog vanished and found 5 Narutos pointing their sword at various parts of his body. I forfeit, Shino said. Naruto grinned. The other 4 Naruto vanished. Naruto sheathed his blade and made several seals. Kaden. Heat wave, a pulse of hot air instantly revived most of Shino's bugs. The bugs flew back to Shino for warmth as most are still damp from Naruto's jutsus. Shino, after observing you, I find that you are indeed Genin or low Chunin level, Naruto said. Shino nodded. However, you are lacking in close-range combat. Also, you are very weak without your bugs. It would be best to use your bugs in combination with taijutsu or kenjutsu. Genjutsu would also be a good addition to your arsenal. Shino nodded, keeping notes of Naruto's suggestions. What about your abilities? I know that you were holding back against me. Naruto nodded. I was. My abilities excel in kenjutsu, ninjutsu, and taijutsu. I am proficient in genjutsu but do not use it often. I have a 3-element affinities. Water, wind, and fire. I find it extremely hard to do earth and lightning jutsus. I also have a bloodline. What is your bloodline? Shino asked. Naruto grinned. My bloodline is caused by a mutation in my genes. Along with having an extremely high amount of chakra and chakra control, my chakra is deadly with anyone possessing a bloodline. What? Shino asked. If a Hyuga or Uchiha were exposed to my chakra, their bloodline abilities would be messed up. For example, the Sharingan would not be able to copy any of my jutsus and would only see things that happened 2 to 10 seconds in the past. The Byakugan would not be able to see through my body and find my tenketsu while also losing their 359-degree vision, Naruto explained. Basically, any ninja with a bloodline would be nearly helpless if they only focused on their bloodlines. Shino was impressed. A bloodline that can cripple bloodlines while only granting the user increased chakra. Combined with a kenjutsu and taijutsu, Naruto is the nightmare of the Hyugas. You know, if the Hyugas learn of your abilities, you might have to deal with very powerful enemies in Konoha. The Dream Team and the Blade. Naruto waved goodbye to Shino and gave him a gift. Shino unwrapped it to find weights, a scroll, and length of chain. It was around 12 feet long and had a small weight at the end. He looked back at the package and found a small note by Naruto. Dear Bug Boy, it said. Shino had a tick mark above his eye. During my travels I received this from a ninja I beat. I found that it was a really effective weapon if used right. It is meant for capturing an opponent or for assassination. I modified it a bit so the weight at the end of a chain can store Kikai bugs. This way, once you've captured a ninja with the chain, the Kikai bugs can eat away their chakra. Also, you can channel chakra through the chains to make the chain as sharp as a blade. Shino whirled the chain around and wrapped it around a tree branch. He then channeled chakra throughout the chain and pulled. The area where the chain was wrapped around was cut into pieces. Shino wrapped it up and picked up the scroll and waits, eager to learn this new weapon. Naruto went to Shikamaru's house. It was around the same size as Shino's house and was hidden in the forest. He spotted several deer hidden by the foliage. Naruto knocked the door and waited. Shikamaru answered the door. Oh hi Naruto. What are you doing here? Naruto gave him the same answer as he gave Shino. After explaining, Shikamaru nodded lazily and muttered, troublesome blonde. They went to the training grounds where Naruto and Shikamaru sparred. Naruto easily beat Shikamaru. Shikamaru, do you ever train? Naruto asked. A little, Shikamaru muttered. Naruto sighed. He made several hand seals and poked Shikamaru lightly. Ninpu. Earth chaining seal. Shikamaru's limbs became twice as heavy than before. Troublesome blonde, what did you do to me? Shikamaru said angrily. Naruto smirked. I put a seal that will make you train. I won't take it off until I think you're ready, Naruto said. He quickly left before Shikamaru could catch him. See ya tomorrow Shika, Naruto called. Damn, troublesome blonde, Shikamaru muttered. The next day, all the academy students were waiting to take the test. Naruto sat by Shino who was reading the scroll Naruto gave him. Shikamaru was sleeping but Naruto noticed that he was a bit more built now. Most of the Junins were waiting to test the student there but they had to wait for Iruka because he had the team list. After an hour, Iruka showed up. He was grinning like a maniac and was very happy. Good morning class, Iruka shouted. Morning sensei, the class responded slightly confused. Naruto sniffed the air and smirked. Iruka just got laid last night. Naruto looked at some of the Junins. One of the Junins giggled perversely and was elbowed in the stomach by Kurenai. Alright Team 1, please go with Genma, Iruka announced. A Junin and a group of students left the classroom. Naruto began to sleep until his team was called out. Team 7 inches. Naruto looked up. Please go with. A black ball came through the window. It popped open to reveal a banner that said, Anko Mitarashi, Y-sensei of Team 7 inches. Alright my team, Anko yelled. Meet me at Training Ground 26. Naruto, Shino, and Shikamaru left the classroom. Anko quickly kissed Iruka and followed her students. Naruto and the others arrived at Training Ground first. They waited as Anko arrived. She grinned at her new students. Once she saw Naruto she started throwing kunais at him. Naruto easily deflected Tem with his own kunai. Good morning Anko-sensei. I believe you and Iruka had a memorable night together, Naruto said politely. Anko turned bright red. As a matter of fact, we did. I have to thank you though, you provoking Iruka like that. Shino and Shikamaru turned to Naruto interested. I hooked up Anko and Iruka. The two nodded. Alright, now I like to get the interesting things done first before anything else, Anko said. So I'll give you your test now. The three looked at Anko, waiting to hear what their test was. Your test is to capture me for a full 30 seconds. If you don't complete this in 3 hours, you all fail, Anko said. Shino and Shikamaru looked at Naruto. Naruto nodded. All three vanished into the foliage around the training ground. Naruto made several clones and had them attack Anko so she would lose some energy and chakra. He always went to look for Shikamaru and Shino. Naruto found Shino trying to dig himself out of the earth. Naruto quickly pulled Shino out of the hole and dragged him into the foliage. As Shino brushed dirt off his clothes, Naruto explained his plan. Shino listened carefully. When Naruto finished explaining, the two went to find Shikamaru. Naruto and Shino found Shikamaru sleeping. Annoyed, Naruto kicked him awake. Shikamaru grumbled but woke up. Hey Shika. Now listen, we'll need your help in capturing Anko-sensei, Naruto whispered. I want you to hide in those trees over there. Shino and I will drive her in your direction. When that happens, use your shadow imitation jutsu to trap her. We'll make sure she doesn't escape. Shikamaru nodded and hid himself in the shadows. Naruto and Shino went to find Anko. Anko was sitting on a boulder eating dango. As she took a bite, she sensed Shino and Naruto. She quickly finished her food and faced the two. Naruto threw several shurikens at Anko. She dodged them and threw a kunai at Shino. The kunai hit Shino but Shino exploded into a cloud of bugs. Anko dodged as a group of bugs charged at her. Naruto gathered chakra and made several hand seals. Futen. Wind cannon. Naruto fired several near-invisible spheres at Anko. Anko didn't notice it until it was too late. She was hit hard and knocked 10 feet away. She growled and made several hand seals. Summoning jutsu. A humongous snake charged Naruto. Naruto quickly went into a kenjutsu stance. The snake tried to eat Naruto. It was 10 feet away from Naruto before Naruto moved. Itoryu. Gate opening. The snake was sliced cleanly in half. Anko's and Shino's eyes widened. To have the skill to cleanly cut a 50-foot-long snake with one move takes an amazing amount of talent. Naruto charged Anko, using a full frontal assault with Shino supporting him with his bugs and chain. Despite the fact Anko used many ninjutsus, Anko was nearly hit by the chain several times already. She avoided a stab from Naruto and a sweetened jutsus. Anko jumped back to dodge a swarm of insects and ducked Shino's chain. She watched as Shino's chain wrapped around a tree trunk and sliced the trunk into small pieces as Shino pulled. She jumped back to avoid a slash from Naruto's blade and landed in the shadow of a tree and became frozen. Shadow imitation technique. Success. Anko was forced to stand up straight while Shino's chain wrapped around her body several times. Anko's neck was forced back by Naruto's katana. She also felt Shino's kikai bugs crawling on her body and sapping her chakra away fast. She grinned. Naruto and Shino lured her into a trap that was set up by Shikamaru. Shikamaru would be able to hold her still for a minute while Shino's bugs sapped her chakra away. However, it wouldn't have worked if Naruto hadn't attacked her ferociously so that she wouldn't notice Shikamaru's absence. Anko grinned. This team had great teamwork and all of them good state gists. I surrender. Naruto smiled and sheathed his katana. Shino nodded and retracted his chain. He also ordered his kikai bugs back into his body. Anko shuddered involuntarily as she regained control of her body. Well brats. I've got to hand it to you. You passed with flying colors. I can see you three become great ninjas, Anko praised. The three smiled, even Shino. However, all of you have something to work on. Shino, you need to work on some genjutsus as well as some ninjutsus. Your taijutsus is good enough for now, Anko said. Shino nodded. Any piece advice is always helpful. Shikamaru, if you don't step up your training, I will come over to your house and make you. And you won't like my training schedule if you don't like giant snakes, poison, and the good chance of getting stabbed multiple times, Anko said sternly. Shikamaru winced. Troublesome broad. And you Naruto, I don't know what to do with you. Your ninjutsu is well above genin level and your kenjutsu is junin level. You should meet him and challenge him to a duel. I would probably say that you are the strongest genin out of Konoha, Anko said. Naruto smiled. He would have to ask Gekko for a spar. Alright, now that we got the test out of the way, let's go to a dango stall, Anko shouted. The three genins agreed as they were hungry and a bit tired. After they arrived in the stall and ordered food, Anko spoke to her team. Okay, now that I know you three are ready to become genins, let's introduce ourselves. I'll start. My name is Anko Mitarashi. I like dango, sake, jutsus involving poison, and my cute boyfriend Iruka. I dislike a certain snake sanin, toad sanin, and little orange books. My specialties include ninjutsu, poisons, and assassination. My dream is to have a small family, become a proper junin, and to see a certain ninja without his mask, Anko said. Why don't you go first, bug boy? Shino had tick above his eye. Why does everyone call him that? My name is Shino Aburame. I like collecting new bugs and training. I dislike bright light, loud noises, and pesticides. My specialty would probably be taijutsu and my clan jutsus. My dream is to show Konoha that the Aburames are as skilled as many of the famous clans in Konoha. You next, sleepy. Shikamaru opened one eye at the kunoichi and glared at her. My name is Shikamaru Nara. I like sleeping and looking at clouds. I dislike training and loud noises. My specialty would be clan jutsus and strategizing. My dream is to have an average family, grow old, and spend my retirement looking at clouds and play shogi. Your turn, Blondie. Naruto quickly swallowed the dango he was eating. My name is Naruto Uzumaki. I like training, meeting friendly people, helping others, and learning new jutsus. I dislike a certain pair of loudmouth, spandex wearing, bull but weirdos and their genjutsus. It's evil. I tell you. My specialty is kenjutsu and ninjutsu. My dream is to be so strong that the heavens themselves shall remember my name. Anko grinned. She had a diverse team. A lazy ass, an ambitious outcast, and an overachiever. This was going to be quite an interesting team. Interesting and destined for greatness. Alright, you three are dismissed. I want to see you at training ground 26 at 7 o'clock in the morning. She left the stall in order to report to the Hokage. He'd be very interested in her report. Naruto and the others left soon after Anko. While Shino and Shikamaru went back to their houses, Naruto went around Konoha looking for a Gecko Hayate. Anko arrived 30 minutes early for the Junin meeting. She waited until the other Junins appeared. Anko. Anko turned to see Kurenai sitting beside her. Hey Kurenai. What's up? Nothing really. I did hear an interesting rumor that you and Iruka are now a couple, Kurenai said. Anko smiled. That's right. We've only been going out yesterday, but he's everything I wished for. Kurenai pouted. Why couldn't she get a man like Iruka? The two talked about their genins. Kurenai's team included Choji, Hinata, and Ino. Soon all the Junins that tested the new batch of genins arrived. The Hokage waited until everyone settled down. Everyone, Junin sensei, please stand up and announce if the team failed or not. Also announce how well they passed. Team 1, failed. Team 2, failed. Team 3, failed. Team 4, failed. Team 5, failed. Team 6, failed. Team 7, passed with flying colors, Anko said proudly. Team 8, passed. Their teamwork is a bit rough, but they'll get better over time, Kurenai said. Team 9, failed. Team 10, passed. They barely passed though. Their teamwork is horrible though, Kakashi said. The Hokage looked at Anko. Anko, you said your team passed with flying colors. Will you please tell us what happened? Anko grinned. The team I have includes Naruto Uzumaki, Shino Aburame, and Shikamaru Nara. The test I had them take was to capture me for 30 seconds. The Hokage was impressed that her team managed to pass her test. Anko was as slippery as a snake, and her ability to evade is matched by some of the Anbu. Many Junins were also impressed. From what I can tell, Naruto expected this kind of test. He organized a strategy that efficiently captured me. I expect that this team could be the next Inoshika Cho team. Naruto and Shino attacked me directly, Anko recounted. Naruto is able to use Fuden and Suiten jutsus very effectively. He also is extremely talented with Kenjutsu. During the battle, I summoned a 50-foot snake to attack Naruto. Instead of getting knocked around or swallowed, Naruto split the snake in half, from head to tail with one move. The Hokage was deeply impressed. To defeat a summon usually needed medium chunin skill depending on the summon. To be able to defeat such a large summon so easily meant that this Naruto was on par with a Junin. While I had to deal with Naruto, I also had to fight Shino also. Shino is skilled in taijutsu and his clan jutsus. He also wielded a chain proficiently. His weapon acted like a long, flexible sword when he pumped chakra into it. Between the two of them, they drove me into the shadow of a tree. Shikamaru was waiting for me there and immediately caught me in his shadow imitating jutsus when I stepped into his shadow. Shikamaru held me there while Shino's chain wrapped around me. Shino also let his Kikai bugs feed upon my chakra. Also I had Naruto's blade touching my throat. The three could have easily killed me right there, Anko said. Many of the Junins were deeply impressed. The Hokage was pleased to know that such a promising group of genins existed. I must say, I haven't seen such a more promising group in my years as Hokage. Not even the Sanins came close. Anko grinned. She was going to have such a fun time being their sensei. The Hokage looked at Kakashi. Kakashi, I understand that your group included Kiba Inazaka, Sakura Haruno, and Sasuke Uchiha. I would like to understand why they failed so badly. Kakashi sighed. There are several reasons. One is that Kiba and Sasuke are both very headstrong individuals. Despite the fact Kiba accepted he needed the others' help, Sasuke denied him and Sakura followed him. Sakura also possesses the worst case scenario of a fangirl. She is absolutely brain dead if Sasuke is in the area and also insults Kiba repeatedly. I had to stop Kiba multiple times from killing Sakura. Sasuke is skilled for a genin but is very proud and obsessed with revenge. If I had a choice between the three, I would choose Kiba. He is the only one out of the three that has a realistic idea of how to be a ninja. It was only because of Kiba they passed the bell test. The Hokage sighed. Itachi would be very disappointed to hear how low his brother has become. Everyone dismissed. Anko, Kurenai, Kakashi. I want regular reports on the progress of your genin teams. Naruto finally found what he was looking for. He found Gekko Hayate in one of the training grounds practicing kenjutsu. Excuse me, are you Gekko Hayate? Naruto asked. Gekko turned to see the genin. He coughed a bit and nodded. Yes I am, Gekko replied. How may I help you? I want to spar with you. My Junin sensei said that you were the kenjutsu specialist of Konoha. I want to spar with you to maintain my level of skill and improve, Naruto explained. Gekko nodded. He drew his sword and settled into a kenjutsu stance. Naruto drew his katana and also went into a kenjutsu stance. Gekko charged first. He slashed at Naruto only to have it parried by Naruto. Naruto kicked Gekko in the stomach and swung his sword at him. Gekko dodged the sword and tried to slash Naruto's feet. Naruto jumped over Gekko's blade and stabbed at Gekko's head. Gekko ducked and moved away from Naruto's blade. Naruto smirked. He made a thrusting motion with his sword, despite the fact Gekko was 10 feet away from him. Itoryu. Bullet. Gekko dodged an air bullet that smashed through a tree, leaving a 10-inch round hole. Gekko held his sword in a guard position as Naruto rushed him. Itoryu. Demon Slash. Gekko's hands became numb at the sheer power of Naruto's strike. Gekko jumped back but Naruto wouldn't let Gekko escape. Itoryu. Wind Tunnel. Naruto spun his sword in a circular pattern, creating a whirlwind. Gekko slammed into a tree trunk. Before he realized it, Naruto's sword was at his throat. I win, Naruto said. Gekko grinned. He finally had a sparring partner he could go all out against. Well done. I haven't seen such skill anywhere in the Fire Country, Gekko said. Naruto rubbed the back of his head. Yeah well, I had good teachers. Gekko rubbed together his sore hands. If you ever want a rematch, just look for me. Don't worry next time, I'll be harder to beat. Naruto grinned. I wouldn't want it any other way. Trip to wave. Bug boy here in position. Pineapple in position. Blade in position. Ready for capture. Roger. On my mark, Anko whispered. 3, 2, 1, now. Shikamaru used his jutsu to freeze the cat while Naruto shoved it inside a cage. Then Shino used his bugs to drain the cat of its energy. Naruto watched as the cat became drowsy and fell asleep. Naruto gave Shino the thumbs up sign to stop. Mission success. Anko-sensei. Naruto said. Anko nodded. She looked at the stopwatch in her hand and smirked. Congratulations. You set a new record for capturing Tora the cat. 1 hour, 4 minutes, and 7 seconds, beating the previous record by 30 minutes. Naruto smirked. Shino nodded. Shikamaru let out a snore. Naruto and Anko sweat dropped. How can anyone fall asleep so fast? Anko picked up the cage. Well, let's get this back to the Hokage. We'll probably be able to do C-rank missions now. Naruto kicked Shikamaru lightly to wake him up. After Shikamaru woke up, Team 7 headed to the Hokage Tower. Tora was rudely woken up when she found herself smothered by her owner. Thanks to Shino, Tora couldn't even lift a paw in defense. The Hokage nodded in approval at the efficient team. Now Team 7, there are several D missions ready. Now there is. No. Naruto yelled. I'm tired of these damn D missions. The Hokage sighed. He looked at Iruka for help. However, he was preoccupied with Anko at the moment. He looked at Team 7. Shikamaru was sleeping as usual. Shino was meditating. Naruto was polishing his katana. The Hokage breathed in deeply. He checked Team 7's record. 30 missions performed with flawless teamwork, not to mention the newest record on capturing Tora the cat. Fine. I'll let you have a C-rank mission, the Hokage relented. Naruto cheered. Everyone else was concerned with something else. Anko. Anko turned to the Hokage. Yes, Hokage. I will be assigning a C-class mission to Wave. Your team will be escorting Tazuna. You are to protect him any bandits you might encounter, Hokage said. Tazuna, you may come in now. Naruto, Shino, and Anko turned to see an old man leaning on the doorframe. He was carrying a bottle of sake and was a little drunk. What, these are my guards? These are just a bunch of brats, Tazuna said in a gravelly voice. Is that sake from Wave? Naruto asked excitedly. Tazuna grinned. Yes, it is. Some of the best I've tasted. I'll trade some of Kumo's sake for Wave's, Naruto said. Naruto pulled out one of his storage scrolls and summoned a bottle of sake. 50 years old. Very strong, Naruto said proudly. Tazuna began laughing. He tossed Naruto an unopened bottle of sake. Naruto grinned. He opened it and toasted to Tazuna. For delicious tasting sake in the future, Naruto toasted. Indeed. Tazuna said. I like this kid. The two drank a bit from the sake bottles. Smooth tasting and soothingly sweet, Naruto observed. Delicious. Tazuna shuddered as the sake went down his stomach. Wow. This stuff is strong and puts a jolt in your body. I love it. Tazuna said excitedly. Alright Team 7, meet me in the Konoha gates in 2 hours, Anko said. Naruto and Shino nodded and Shino kicked Shikamaru awake. Hey Shika, we going on a C-rank mission. Pack up. We have 2 hours. Meet us in the Konoha gates, Naruto explained. Troublesome blonde, Shikamaru muttered. He went back to sleep. Naruto and Shino left the Hokage Tower. In a few minutes, he arrived at his apartment where he heard grunting from the person next door. He dearly hoped that the guy was training. Naruto went into his apartment. Hey Q. Yeah Naruto. What's up? What do you think I should bring on this C-rank mission? Naruto asked. I'm guessing your sword, ninja equipment, an extra set of clothes, sleeping gear, and food. Basically the scroll labeled C-rank mission, Kyuubi said. Naruto's sweat dropped. He forgot about those pre-packed scrolls he made. Naruto packed one of the scrolls in his pocket. Now what? Naruto asked. Why don't you go train? It'll be good practice. Before your mission, Naruto headed over to a deserted training ground. He added more weights and began doing his katas. He went through many of the forms for Itoryu. Naruto also went through Iijutsu practice. As he trained, he sensed 2 people hiding in the bushes. Alright, come out. I know you're hiding there. Sasuke and Sakura came out of the bushes. Sasuke had a look of envy and anger on his face. Sakura was just looking at Sasuke with dumb admiration. What do you want, Uchiha? Naruto asked. Fight me, Sasuke demanded. Naruto sighed. He hated the fact that Sasuke thought everyone would obey him because he's the Uchiha prodigy. No. Sasuke became angrier. Fight me, damn it. I don't feel like it, Naruto said. He turned his back toward Sasuke and resumed his training. Sasuke glared at the blonde. How dare that commoner treat him like a weakling? He was an Uchiha. Kaden. Great fireball. Sasuke fired a large fireball at Naruto. Naruto burst into flames. Sasuke smirked as he could see Naruto's body in the flames. Sakura was a bit disturbed by Sasuke's violence but shrugged off seeing Sasuke's smile. Sasuke-kun is so cool. Sakura screamed. Sasuke grinned but it faltered a bit when he heard no screams. He looked at Naruto more closely. His mouth dropped. Naruto was calmly eating the fire off of him. Munch. Munch. You call this a fire jutsu? It's only warm. Not very strong at all. Weak even, Naruto said as he continued to eat. Sasuke could only watch as Naruto ate all the fire off of his body. Burp. Thanks for the food though, Sasuke, Naruto said. Naruto put his hand apart and made several one-handed seals in each hand. He then put both hands in front of his face in a horse seal. Oni Kaden. Air fireball. Naruto fired a baseball-sized white fireball at Sasuke. Meanwhile in the Hokage Tower, the Hokage was examining the forest. So beautiful and tranquil. Boom. The Hokage looked toward the training grounds to see a large gout of fire explode. What the hell? Back in the training grounds, Naruto examined his work. Sasuke was face down on the ground with several broken bones from the shockwave. Sasuke also had numerous third and second degree burns all over his body. Sakura was also injured. Her clothes were singed and she had many third degree burns on her arms. The training ground itself was a mess. Naruto aimed the fireball 10 feet away from Sasuke. The area where the fireball landed was a crater 10 feet wide and 5 feet deep. Around the area, the ground was scorched black. Hey Kit, I think you went overboard, Kyuubi noticed. Yeah, but who cares? Naruto said. Kyuubi scowled. Naruto, you need to hide your abilities more carefully. If the council sees you as a threat, they will manipulate the villagers into persecuting you. The only reason they haven't yet is that they don't know who you are. Naruto sighed. Fine. Q-chan. Naruto walked up to Sasuke and kicked him over. He leaned over and whispered. Sasuke, never mess with me again or you'll have more than burns and bones to worry about. Naruto walked away. He stopped though for a second to speak with Sakura. Black Lace, are you trying to be a whore? He ignored Sakura's scream and headed toward the gates. He waited by a nearby tree for 15 minutes. Shino was the first to arrive. He carried a small backpack with him. On his hip was the chain Naruto gave him. Hey Shino, all ready? Naruto asked. Hi Taicho, Shino said. Taicho, why'd you call me that Shino? Naruto asked. It's because you really are the leader among this team, troublesome blonde. Naruto turned to see Shikamaru walking towards them, with a lazy look on his face. Hey Shikamaru, I've seen you got used to the weights now, Naruto said. Shikamaru nodded. They feel like my normal limbs now, Shikamaru said. Naruto smirked. What are you doing, Naruto? Ninpu. Earth chaining seal. Shikamaru tried to dodge Naruto's finger but was too slow. Naruto poked him hard on the chest. Shikamaru felt his body become heavier. Damn it Naruto, Shikamaru said. Why do you keep doing that? Because you won't get your lazy-do train, Naruto said. I don't do it to Shino because he's wearing weights right now. Shino pulled up his sleeves to show a bracer attached to his arm. He also lifted his pants a bit to show weights around his ankle. Shino, how much do you have? Naruto asked. 200 pounds altogether Naruto Taicho, Shino answered. Naruto grinned. That much already? Shino, that's great, Naruto said. They waited for 5 more minutes. Anko arrived with Tazuna. Tazuna was a little bit drunk. He saw Naruto and raised his sake bottle to him. Hey kiddo. This stuff is great. When we get back at my house, why don't we share a bottle? Tazuna said, his words a bit slurred. Naruto laughed. Sure. I'm always interested in different sakes. Ha 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 ha. Tazuna laughed. Anko looked at Naruto. Aren't you too young to drink? Old enough to kill, old enough to drink, Naruto retorted. Anyway, sake in small amounts can speeds up your chakra, making it easier to control and manipulate. It also tastes good. That's right. Tazuna shouted. Anko shrugged. Fine, but I won't be carrying your drunk if you get drunk. Alright Team 7. Shino, I want you in front. Those Kikai bugs will be able to sense any danger that may come toward us. Shikamaru, you next. You can back Shino up with those shadows. Naruto in the middle. This way you can help me or Shino and Shikamaru if we run into trouble. Tazuna, stay behind Naruto. I'll be the rear guard as I'm the most experienced, Anko ordered. The group got into formation and began traveling towards Wave. They traveled in silence for about 15 minutes. Naruto got a bit antsy and decided to speak up. Tazuna, what's Wave like? Naruto asked. Tazuna paused a bit. It's a beautiful country surrounded by crystal waves. The people there are friendly. To me it's paradise, Tazuna said. Naruto and Anko noticed that his voice had several emotions in it. The most prominent were sadness and longing. They passed a puddle. Shino gave Naruto a look. Naruto made a calming motion with his hand. Shino nodded and continued ahead. As the group passed the puddle, two ninjas appeared. They charged the group. Tazuna move. Tazuna turned to see Anko wrapped around a bladed chain, the ends held by two ninjas. The ninjas pulled and the group watched Anko sliced into pieces. The ninjas then charged Tazuna. Naruto charged the two ninjas. He sliced the chain easily and delivered two powerful kicks. The two ninjas landed in Shikamaru's shadow where they were easily restrained and drained of their chakra by Shino. Anko came walking out of the bushes. Good job. Shikamaru, tie them to a tree. Shino, take anything useful from their clothes. Naruto, come with me. Tazuna and I are going to have a little talk, Anko said. The two went to Tazuna, who was shivering from his close encounter with death. Tazuna. Tazuna jumped a little bit. We want to know why two ninjas are trying to kill you, Anko said. She drew a kunai from her pack. Don't make me use this. I promise it won't be pleasant if I do. Gato. Tazuna spat out. Naruto was surprised. You mean the Gato, one of the richest people in the world? Tazuna nodded. That damned man wants me dead because of what I'm doing. He sees me as a threat because I'm building a bridge. A bridge? That's why? Anko asked, perplexed. You have to understand Wave's geography before you understand why Gato fears the bridge. Wave is surrounded by ocean. The only way to end from the island is by boat, Tazuna explained. Ever since Gato's shipping drove everyone else from business, Gato literally controlled Wave. Everyone lives in poverty. Gato's thugs do what they please. The bridge I'm building is large enough to drive Gato out of Wave. If the bridge is completed, then Wave's economy will flourish again. I couldn't afford a B rank mission, so that's why I lied and asked for a C rank. By now, Shino and Shikamaru were back. They looked at Anko for orders. Anko nodded. Everything made sense. She put the kunai back into her pack. Well, let's go back to Konoha. I'm sure. No. Anko turned to see Naruto with his arms crossed. Let's complete the mission. I'm not going to just give up on this mission just because it was mislabeled. Anyway, we're ready. We caught you and could have killed you in our Genin exam. You're a Junin also. I'm sure we're more than ready to go on this mission, Naruto explained. Anko turned to Shino and Shikamaru. Do you agree? Shino nodded. Shikamaru sighed. It's too troublesome to go back now that we've gone this far. Troublesome blonde. Naruto glared at Shikamaru. Oi, quit calling me that or else I'll up those seals. Shikamaru immediately shut up. He didn't want to carry any more weight now. Anko sighed. They were right. Anyway, She needed to go on a mission like this to maintain her skill. Okay. Get back into formation, Anko ordered. Naruto grinned and went back in line. Anko turned to Tazuna. Once Wave get back on their feet, you will pay for an A- rank mission, understand? Crystal clear, ma'am, Tazuna replied. They walked for several miles. Everyone had their guard up. Every once in a while Naruto used ninpu, all-seeing eye. Naruto noticed the wind changed direction and smelled the air. He smelled blood, iron, and sea salt. Naruto threw a kunai into the bushes. The rest watched as they saw Naruto pick up a snow-white rabbit, scared to death. A white rabbit. That means it's been raised indoors. Someone used it for a kararimi, Anko thought. She heard a deep humming noise coming toward them. Duck. Anko pulled Tazuna down just as a huge Zanbeitu missed them. It missed the three genins and stabbed a tree. A large ninja appeared on the sword. Anko looked at the ninja, recognizing him. Zabuza Momochi, demon of the mist, Anko said. Zabuza laughed. I'm honored you know me, Anko Mitarashi, the leaf snake mistress. Zabuza sensei. Zabuza sensei. Everyone turned to see Naruto waving at Zabuza. To their surprise, Zabuza waved back, with a look of delight on his face. Hey brat, what's up? Zabuza said. Where's you sensei? Around doing missions as a hired nin, Naruto answered. Wait, if you're here, then that means. Naruto-kun. Naruto turned to see a girl jump at him. She caught him in an ultra glomp. Naruto-kun. I knew I'd see you again, the girl shouted happily. Look at you, you've grown taller than me. And you also have red highlights in your hair. You look so good. Anko, Shino, Shikamaru, and Tazuna were so confused. What the heck is going on? Naruto, who is the girl and how do you know them? Anko asked. Naruto turned to face her. He waddled a bit because the girl was hugging him very tightly. Her name is Haku, Anko-sensei. Haku noticed the others and bowed politely. Nice to meet you, my name is Haku. Naruto rubbed the back of his head in embarrassment. Haku noticed and glomped him again. Kawaii. Zabuza smirked. So what are you doing here? Oh, I'm on a mission to escort Tazuna here to Wave, Naruto answered. Zabuza sighed. He was worried about that. Well brat, my mission is to kill the old man. You know what this means. Yep. Naruto said. Haku's eyes widened. Anko felt something was going to happen. She drew out her kunai. Shikamaru copied her while Shino prepared his chain. The tension was so thick you could cut it with a knife. Nothing can be heard except the wind rustling through the trees. Everyone tensed as they waited to see what will happen. Jan-ken Pon. Naruto and Zabuza shouted. Everyone except Haku fell down. Naruto had scissors while Zabuza had paper. Ha, I win. Zabuza smirked. Oh well, I guess I'll let you pass. Heck, I'll help. Wait a second, Anko shouted. You're going to help us? Zabuza nodded. That's the way the seven swordsmen solve their problems. The winner gets his way and the loser helps him. Anko's sweat dropped. One of the most powerful groups settled argument with Jan-ken Pon. Zabuza retrieved his sword. Well, let's get going. He began walking. Haku followed him while dragging Naruto along. Come on, Anko-sensei, Naruto shouted. The others chased after them. They reached Wave with no problem. During the trip, Zabuza and Anko discussed about Gato. Since you worked for Gato, you must know if he hired any more ninjas, Anko asked. Zabuza nodded. Gato hires most Mist nins because of the civil war within Mist. Most of the ninjas Gato hired are barely above genin. However, there are three that may give us problems. Who are they? Anko asked. Let's see. There's Yazu, the stone bear. Aoi Rokususho is there. He sucks as a swordsman. Also there's a Kagaya, named Katsu. He's better known as the Spear of the Mist. Great. 3 Junins. And an S rank 1 too. Anko looked at her team. She was sure that they would be ready, but a little training wouldn't hurt. She also looked at Haku. Zabuza, if you gave Haku a rank, what rank would she be? Anko asked. High Chunin. Maybe a low Junin rank, Zabuza guessed. Meanwhile, Haku and Naruto were happily talking. Shikamaru and Shino watched while Tazuna drank his sake. Hey Shino, Shikamaru whispered. Shino turned toward Shikamaru. You think Naruto had some kind of romantic relation with Haku? Shikamaru asked. Shino observed he couple. It was obvious that they are very comfortable with each other, and judging by their body language, they did not hide anything from one another. They also had a hint of a blush on their faces. It is possible Shikamaru, Shino admitted. Shikamaru grinned. He matched his movements with Naruto and made a hand seal. Ninpu. Shadow imitation. Shikamaru's shadow connected with Naruto's. Shikamaru quickly made Naruto's hand slap her ass. Haku was in the middle of a sentence when Naruto slapped her ass. She looked at Naruto. Naruto was bright red and stammering. Naruto-kun, I didn't know you were like that, Haku said coyly. She pinched Hishard. Itai. Naruto screamed. Shikamaru was struggling not to laugh. Shino was smiling beneath his collar. Tazuna didn't care and continued to drink. Shikamaru snickered and repeated his jutsu, only making Naruto grope Haku. Naruto, if I didn't know better, I would say you want me, Haku whispered. In honesty, Haku didn't mind. During Naruto's training, Haku fell in love with him, and her love only intensified when he left. Naruto was extremely embarrassed. God damn it, Shikamaru. As soon as we get back to Konoha, you are dead. Naruto thought. You might want to thank him, Naruto. I notice a huge influx of naughty thoughts in your brain. Ooh, that's kinky, Kyuubi said. Shut up. Naruto thought. Naruto was jolted back to reality by Haku jumping on his back. Naruto-kun, my feet hurt. Will you carry me until we get to Tazuna's house? Haku asked. Naruto was about to say no but made the mistake by looking into her eyes. She had the puppy eyes at full blast. Okay Haku, you can stay there until we reach Tazuna's house, Naruto said. Haku cheered and kissed him on the cheek. Damn puppy eyes, Naruto thought. Naruto blushed though when Haku nuzzled his cheek. Naruto looked at Haku. She really was beautiful. Her skin was flawless and her hair was long and soft. It didn't hurt that she had a well-developed body that was much better than the girls her age in Konoha. Haku-chan, Naruto said softly. The rest of the trip was finished in silence. Once they arrived at Tazuna's house, most just went straight to bed. Anko and Haku had their own room while everyone else slept on another room. Naruto tucked Haku in a futon. She really was beautiful. Naruto blushed and felt his heart race. Am I really falling in love with her? Naruto thought. Naruto shook his head and kissed Haku on the cheek. Good night Haku-hime, he whispered and left the room. Haku smiled, despite the fact that she was sleeping. A section of the room shimmered. It stopped and revealed Anko. She was grinning. The damned Naruto got her and Iruka together. Now it was her turn to play matchmaker, and she would do it while causing Naruto plenty of embarrassment. Naruto went back to his room. Shikamaru was sleeping, no surprise there. Shino was reading the scroll Naruto gave him. Tazuna and Zabuza were sitting by a small table drinking sake. Tazuna turned and saw Naruto. Naruto, come over here and have some sake. Tazuna shouted. Naruto grinned and sat with them. Tazuna poured him a shot of sake. Naruto sipped some. Iwa sake? Naruto asked. Tazuna nodded. Got this one 5 years ago. Not as strong tasting but has more of a filling taste. Naruto drank the rest of his shot. After several drinks, Naruto went to bed tired and a little drunk. Good morning Naruto. Naruto opened his eyes just in time to see the bottom of Zabuza's sandal stomp on his face. It's training time, Zabuza shouted. God damn it. Why do you insist on doing that every morning? Naruto bellowed. Sheesh, calm down. All I did was just stomp on your head, Zabuza said. Just stomp on my head? Are you a bleep-ing retard? Naruto bellowed. Zabuza smirked. Anyway, get your out of bed. I've been itching for a good sword fight since you left. Naruto grinned. He picked up his katana and ran out the door. Zabuza ran after him, a big smile on his face. Naruto and Zabuza went outside. Both of them immediately went into a kenjutsu stance. Let's go all out, brat. I want to see what you can do, Zabuza said. My pleasure, Naruto said. Naruto dashed at Zabuza. He swung his blade low at Zabuza's thigh. Zabuza shielded his leg with the Zanbeitu and used its weight to push Naruto off. Naruto jumped back and brought his blade up to block Zabuza's swing. Naruto felt the ground give in as he pushed off Zabuza's blade. He quickly stabbed Zabuza. Zabuza dodged it and swung his sword at Naruto. Naruto managed to duck the blade and stab at Zabuza's shoulder. Zabuza jumped back, panting a bit. Well, brat, you certainly gotten faster, Zabuza chuckled. He channeled his chakra through his Zanbeitu. Metsujutsu. Chakra wave. Zabuza swung his sword at Naruto. A huge blue chakra blade shot out at Naruto. Naruto dodged it and thrust his sword at Zabuza. Itoryu. Bullet. Zabuza held his blade sideways. The air bullet smashed into the blade with a loud clang. Metsujutsu. Wave chaos. Zabuza swung his sword rapidly in Naruto's direction. Naruto had to deflect and dodge many of the chakra blades. He was so busy deflecting the blades, he didn't notice Zabuza behind him. Kenjutsu. Gay Dragon. Zabuza roared and slammed the handle of his Zanbeitu up Naruto's ass. Shi-T. Naruto screamed as he flew away from Zabuza. Naruto landed hard on the ground. He glared at Zabuza, who was laughing at Naruto. Naruto jumped back up. He released some of his weight seals and charged at Zabuza. Itoryu. Demon Slash. Zabuza was able to block at the last moment. However, Naruto's attack was so strong that Zabuza flew off his feet. Itoryu. Wind Tunnel. Naruto fired a tornado at Zabuza. Zabuza began spinning fast and slamming head first into a tree trunk. Naruto smirked as Zabuza got up. He was developing a large bruise on his forehead. You brat. Metsujutsu. Chakra Dragon. Zabuza channeled a huge amount of chakra into the blade and swung it at Naruto. A humongous glowing dragon sped towards Naruto. Naruto calmly put his sword back into the sheath and settled into a kenjutsu stance. Zabuza's eyes widened. He mastered that technique. Iijutsu. Demon Wheel. Naruto swung his sword and sheathed in one movement. A giant red buzzsaw made of chakra easily sliced through Zabuza's dragon and absorbed it. The buzzsaw sped towards Zabuza twice as fast as the dragon. Zabuza channeled chakra into his Zanbeitu, hoping to lessen the impact of the giant buzzsaw. It slammed into Zabuza, causing him to crash through several trees before stopping. Zabuza looked up to see Naruto's blade at his throat. Yield. Zabuza sighed. He dropped his Zanbeitu down as a sign of surrender. Naruto grinned. Told you I'd beat you one day, Naruto said. He started laughing when he heard Zabuza mutter something about troublesome blondes. Come on, let's get back to Tazuna's house, Naruto said. He helped Zabuza up and dragged him back to Tazuna's house. Haku was preparing breakfast with Tsunami. She was thinking about her feelings for Naruto. Was it more like adoration or was it truly love? Haku sighed. These feelings are so confusing. She looked outside to see Naruto and Zabuza sparring. She watched as Naruto eventually defeated Zabuza. She smiled, happy to see that Naruto finally defeated Zabuza in a kenjutsu's duel. Naruto did promise to defeat Zabuza next time they met. She watched as Naruto dragged Zabuza to the kitchen table. Good morning, Naruto-kun, Haku said cheerfully. Naruto smiled at her. Good morning, Haku-hime, Naruto said. Haku blushed. Maybe Naruto was falling in love with her. The thought made Haku blush dark red. Naruto noticed Haku blushing. He put a hand on her forehead. You okay, Haku? You don't seem like you're having a fever. His sweat dropped when Haku fainted. Tsunami giggled when she saw the confused look on Naruto's face. Excuse me, Naruto, would you please lay Haku in one of the sofas? Tsunami asked. Naruto was surprised there was another person there but did as she asked. After an hour, everyone except Shikamaru was awake. Anko ordered Naruto to wake up Shikamaru. After a couple seconds, they heard a thud, a curse, and Naruto shouting. Wake up, ya lazy bastard. Shikamaru came running downstairs while Naruto chased him holding a finger out. Anko looked as Naruto chased Shikamaru around and around the table. She had enough. When Shikamaru passed by her, she grabbed his ponytail and slammed him on the ground. She then punched Naruto in the stomach. Will you shut up? It's 8 in the morning. Gomen Anko-sensei, Naruto and Shikamaru said simultaneously. Anko smirked and began eating her breakfast. After everyone finished eating, she took her team outside. What the heck happened? Anko asked aloud. The backyard was cut up with slash marks, a crater, and a huge ditch. Many of the trees were cut down. That was Zabuza and I, sensei, Naruto admitted. We had a kenjutsu spar. Anko shook her head. She should have expected it. A few days ago, Gekko told her that Naruto's kenjutsu surpassed his by far. Gekko suspected Naruto was trained by one of the 7 swordsmen. Anyway, I'm going to teach you a couple of jutsus. First, I want you to channel your chakra into these cards, Anko said. She gave Naruto, Shino, and Shikamaru a card. Naruto channeled some chakra. The card split in half. Then one half began burning while the other half turned wet. Shino channeled chakra into his card. His card exploded into flames. Shikamaru's card split like Naruto's did. Alright, Naruto, it appears you have 3 chakra affinities. Wind is your primary element while water and fire are your secondary type. Naruto nodded. He already knew about this already. Shino, you have an unusually high affinities to fire. More than most Uchihas. This most likely means you'll be able to perform fire ninjutsus which ease but be vulnerable to water jutsus. Shino said nothing. It does explain the reason why I'm able to perform bug bomb jutsu so easily. Shikamaru, you have a wind element like Naruto. You'll be able to perform wind ninjutsu with not much difficulty, but earth jutsu are out of the question. Shikamaru nodded. Anko grinned. Today, I'll be teaching a defense and offense jutsu for water, wind, and fire. Anko grinned. Today, I'll be teaching a defense and offense jutsu for water, wind, and fire. The first one I'm going to show is Kaden, Phoenix Immortal Flame. It is a spread fire fireball technique. It's useful as a distraction or move to hinder enemies. Also, it's possible to hide shurikens within the fireballs. Anko showed them the seals and fired at a nearby stump. 5 fireballs whistled toward the stump, scorching it badly. The defensive fire technique is Kaden, burning ash smog. It's like mist jutsu only that it spews stagnant ash hot enough to create burns. Also, if you click your tongue, the ash ignites. Anko showed them the seals again. This time a cloud of ash wafted toward the stump. Anko clicked her tongue and the ash cloud exploded, leaving half the stump. Anko dismissed Shino to practice the 2 jutsus she showed him. She turned to Shikamaru. Now the 2 jutsus I'm going to show you are Fuden, Great Breakthrough, and Fuden, Spiral Shield, Anko said. Shikamaru observed as Anko slowly did the hand seals. She blew a wind shockwave that knocked Shikamaru down. She then made another series of hand seals and blew. A near-invisible tornado spun in front of her, acting like a shield. Shikamaru went away to practice the techniques. Anko turned to Naruto, who was patiently waiting for Anko to show him 2 water jutsus. Alright Naruto, the offensive jutsu is named Sweden, Water Shark Missile. The other one is Sweden, Water Wall. Now Water Shark Missile fires a jet of water in the shape of a shark. The other jutsu summons a water wall that surrounds you for several seconds, Anko explained. Now since these jutsus can only be used near water, I'll just show you the seals themselves, Anko said. Naruto memorized the seals quickly and went off to find a pond. He searched around the forest for several minutes until he smelled water. Naruto headed toward the source of water. Naruto went to the clearing. The clearing was a wide meadow. In the center was a large pond. The pond was filled connected to a waterfall. Naruto examined the area. It was perfect. Naruto spotted something on the banks. It was clothes. Very familiar clothes too. Oh crap. Naruto-kun. Naruto turned to see Haku bathing. Naruto blushed extremely red. He felt his head heat up drastically. 3.2.1. Lift off, Kyuubi said. Naruto suffered a nosebleed that made him fall of the tree branch he was on. He landed hard on his head. Naruto-kun. Naruto cracked open his eyes to find himself staring at Haku's eyes. They were full of concern. Are you alright? Haku asked. Yeah, I'm fine, Naruto grunted. He lifted his head and had a great angle of Haku's bare chest. Naruto blacked out from the blood rushing to his head. Naruto-kun. After an hour, Naruto woke up. He opened his eyes to see Haku, fully clothed. Ah, Naruto-kun, you're awake. Sorry about that, Naruto said. It's alright. It was an accident. Anyway, what are you doing out here? Haku asked. Oh, Anko-sensei showed me hand seals for 2 water jutsus, Naruto explained. Really? What 2 jutsus? Haku asked. Water wall and water shark missile. Oh, those is jutsus. I know those jutsus, Haku said. Really? Can you teach me? Naruto asked. Haku nodded. Sure. But I expect you to teach me 2 jutsus in return. Naruto nodded. That sounds fair. For the next 3 hours, Naruto and Haku spent several hours learning the new jutsus. Naruto enjoyed spending time with Haku. She was beautiful, caring, strong, and had a great body. Haku also shared the same thoughts. Naruto was fun, charming, skilled, and amazing. They stopped when Haku fell down, suffering from chakra exhaustion. Are you alright, Haku-chan? Naruto asked, worried. Haku gave Naruto a weak grin. I'm fine. I think I used a little too much chakra though. Naruto smiled. Well, we should be getting back to Tazuna's place now. Haku nodded and tried to stand up but couldn't. She tried multiple times but her body was exhausted. Naruto-kun, could you carry me to Tazuna's house? Haku asked, embarrassed. She felt ashamed looking so weak in front of Naruto. Naruto smiled. He gently picked her up, bridal style, and began heading toward Tazuna's house. Haku was extremely happy. She had a great time teaching Naruto jutsus. She knows she's beautiful enough for Naruto, and now she's being carried back like a princess. She nearly squealed in delight. Naruto was having an argument inside his head. I can't fall in love with her. She's only a friend. I'm sure that she sees me as a friend also, Naruto thought. You are so stupid, Kit. You know that, Kyuubi said. Why do you say I'm an idiot? Any person with an eye can see that you love her deeply, Kyuubi answered. Yeah, right, Naruto said sarcastically. It's true. She has cared for you constantly and didn't care if you groped her, Kyuubi noted. That was Shikamaru, Naruto screamed. Point is, she loves you. Give her a chance sometime, Kyuubi said. Naruto sighed. You're right. Maybe I should give her a chance. Can you feel the love tonight? It is where we are. It's enough for this wide-eyed wanderer. That we got this far. And can you feel the love tonight? How it's laid to rest. It's enough to make kings and vagabonds. Believe the very best. Stop singing. Sheesh. Just trying to set the mood here. No need to get all defensive about it, Kyuubi said. Sorry. Naruto said. No problem, Kyuubi said. You're right, but what should I do? Naruto asked. I have no idea. Maybe after the mission you guys can do something. Kyuubi asked. You think the Hokage might allow them join Konoha? What? Kyuubi asked. I mean, think about it. Zabuza would be a great asset to the Konoha force. Also, Haku isn't really an enlisted ninja, Naruto answered. Maybe, but you're going to need Anko's recommendation. The Hokage will probably need some act of good faith, Kyuubi. It would also be good if you discussed it with Anko and Zabuza, Kyuubi commented. Sigh. Troublesome. Naruto. Naruto snapped out of his thinking to see Anko waving at him. He jumped and landed noiselessly on the ground. We've been waiting for you. Tsunami just finished making a delicious dinner. We saved some for you, Anko said. Zabuza came out the house to greet Naruto. Hey brat, have you seen? He stopped when he saw Haku on Naruto's back. He also saw the trail of dry blood on Naruto's face. Naruto and Anko became worried as Zabuza began emitting killer intent. You. Zabuza thundered as he pointed at Naruto. What? Naruto asked, thoroughly confused. What did you do to Haku? Zabuza took his Zanbato out, channeling so much chakra in it that the blade began glowing. Oh shit, Naruto thought. He held out his hands in front of Zabuza, trying to calm him down. Look, Zabuza, nothing happened. I accidentally saw her bathing and. You're dead. Author's note. Now, not to confuse any pedophile fans who think Zabuza is in love with Haku, Zabuza is just being very protective of Haku, who he sees as a daughter. A huge chakra blade shot out at Naruto. Naruto dodged it but had to use a kawarimi to avoid a slash from Zabuza. Wait, all we did was train. I swear to Kami. Naruto yelled as he dodged a giant chakra dragon. Zabuza raised his sword again to launch another chakra blade at Naruto. He stopped when he felt two Senbon needles punter his pants, just a hair's breadth from his balls. He quickly put a hand on his crotch just to make sure nothing was missing. Sho and knee. Good, they're still there, Zabuza whispered, relieved. Now, Zabuza, please stop, Haku said from behind Naruto. She had woken up when Zabuza began attacking Naruto. Naruto-kun and I were just training and I overexerted myself a bit. Naruto-kun offered to carry me back so I could rest on the way back, Haku explained. Naruto nodded in agreement. Zabuza glared but placed his Zanbato back on his back. He trudged back to the house muttering about blonde brats. Anko smirked as she nudged Naruto. So, just accidentally saw her bathing. Yes, Naruto said, exasperated. He lowered Haku off his back. He didn't notice that he was unconsciously holding Haku's hand. Right, accidentally. I'll believe that when Kakashi takes off his masks, Anko said sarcastically. In Konoha, Guy was sparring with Kakashi. He ducked Kakashi's punch and kicked him in the chin. This blow inadvertently knocked Kakashi's mask off his face. Gi stared in shock at his rival's uncovered face. Snicker. Giggle. Ha 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 ha. Guy laughed. Kakashi glared at Guy as Guy fell on the ground laughing. Ha 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 ha. Kakashi, you have a mustauche and buckteeth. Guy shouted and began laughing again. He continued to laugh long after Kakashi left, leaving many to believe the ninja had finally cracked. Back in Wave, Naruto greeted Shino and Shikamaru, who were lounging about on the kitchen. In the kitchen, Tazuna was drinking sake while Tsunami was cleaning the table. Anko was eating a couple of dangos she saved in Konoha and watching Zabuza and Haku in an intense whispering argument. Hey guys, how'd it go? Naruto asked. Shikamaru grunted. Went fine. My great breakthrough and spiral shield need more chakra than I can spare, so I need to build up my chakra reserve. How about you, Shino? Naruto asked. Can perform both jutsus but I'm too slow, Shino said. Naruto grinned. He had mastered both Suiten jutsus Anko showed him while also mastering Burning Ash Smog. It helped that he had a teacher and monstrous reserves. Well, I'm sure you can do it soon, Naruto said optimistically. The door opened and a child walked in. The child had a look of extreme depression on his face. Oh, Inari, Tsunami greeted the child. Come and meet your grandpa's bodyguards. They're here to protect him from Gato until grandpa's done constructing the bridge. The child gave the group a baleful glare. You should leave now. It doesn't matter if you're ninjas, Gato will kill you all. Anko and Zabuza glared at the child. Haku looked at the child with sympathy in her kind eyes. Shino merely observed him and judged he wasn't worth responding to. Shikamaru didn't care. Naruto was seething. What gives you the right to say we'll die? Inari looked at Naruto. Everyone dies if they go against Gato. You're no different. Inari closed his eyes. Anyway, you wouldn't know how hard our lives are. Naruto snapped. Before anyone could react, Naruto picked the kid up and threw him through the wall. Everyone was too shocked to react as Naruto went outside to shout at the kid. I don't have a bad life. I was nearly killed several times before I was 7 and you tell me I don't know what a bad life is, Naruto shouted. Living in rags while scavenging food out the trash. No parent to comfort me when I was stabbed, kicked, or beaten. No shelter except the confines of a small moldy cardboard box. Naruto ripped open his shirt. Look at this. Inari gazed at Naruto's chest disgusted. Scars and burns crisscrossed his chest and torso. A large burn making the word demon was the most visible wound. Naruto calmed down at the sight of Inari's horrified face. He buttoned his jacket and said softly, "Look, Inari. You have a mom who loves you and a grandfather who's brave enough to defy Gato. They love you with all their hearts. Also, other loved ones watch over you always," Naruto said gently. Inari started crying, ashamed at himself. Naruto was right. Kaiza would be ashamed of him. Naruto smiled when he saw Inari cry. Let it all out, Inari. It's all right, Naruto said gently. He hugged Inari, letting him know that he was not alone. Inari sobbed on Naruto's shoulder. Naruto Nisan, he sobbed. Naruto smiled and let the boy cry into sleep in his arms. Meanwhile, at Gato's thug headquarters, a small figure spoke to 3 people in front of him. Now it's been 3 days since Zabuza left. I assume that he's been killed by ninjas protecting Tazuna. This time I want Tazuna to be dead for sure, the short figure said. Go to the bridge and kill Tazuna. I want his head for a gift for the people of Wave. Hi Gato-sama, the 3 figures said. They stood up and left the room. One of the men was huge. He wore standard Iwa Junin clothes and also wore a bear pelt over it. On his back was a gigantic axe. The man spoke to his comrade in a rough voice. Oi, oi, do you know where the bridge is? What is a bridge anyway? The big man asked. Aoi rolled his eyes at the huge man's ignorance. Aoi wore clothes of an aim nin. He carried several umbrellas on his back and on his hip was one of Konoha's revered treasures, the Nadime's sword. Yazu, shut your dumb fat ass up, Aoi snapped. Gay freak, Yazu snapped. Bear humper. Umbrella sodomizer. Take that back, Aoi roared. Make me, Yazu growled and withdrew his axe from his back. Aoi pulled one of the umbrellas on his back and drew the Nadime's sword. Enough. The 2 Junins felt a massive spike in chakra behind them. A palish white man was casually flipping a dagger made of bone. He glared at the 2 Junins. Enough already. I'm tired of your bickering. If you do it again before Tazuna's killed, I will shove a spear up both your assholes, the pale man said. The 2 ninjas nodded. Clear, Kagaya-sama. Good, the Kagaya said. He stabbed himself with the bone and watched it melt into his bone. The 2 Junins shivered at the freaky sight. The Kagaya jumped off into the trees with the 2 Junins close behind him, all 3 prepared to go any lengths to complete the Mashin.